Naomi, Dr. Naomi, were on a medical mission to Africa. Amen. And their son went with them also. Great experience for a teenage boy. And they were on, like I said, a medical mission, and we wanted to just introduce them to you because this Sunday and for the next 90 days, we're reviving our missions ministry. Amen. Amen. And our missions ministry is not just limited to foreign countries, but to rural areas in the United States that are underserved. Some of those areas are even urban. So our mission field is not just overseas, but it's national and it can be local at times. So we are really privileged to have Kelvin and Naomi talk to us today about that trip. Now, what inspired you to go?
Well, I always said that I wanted to do medical missions 10 years after practicing medicine.
Mm-hmm.
10 years into practicing medicine, I married Kelvin.
Yeah.
And a year later, we had Joshua.
Okay.
And at the time, I didn't understand that a family could do missions together.
Okay.
And I didn't want to leave Joshua and Kelvin home without me when he was very young. So fast forward 17 years, we finally had an opportunity to go. I attended a medical missions conference in Texas in 2020, February 2020. And then the pandemic hit, so that postponed everything, pushed it back 3 years. But it was always my desire to do medical missions internationally.
Now, as a non-physician, Kelvin, what was the greatest impression you had while you all were serving?
The greatest impression that I had were seeing the doctors, the nurses, and staff member have devotion and praise and worship in the morning in the hospital before they went to work. You don't see that in the America.
Yeah.
You don't see that in the America.
Yeah. We don't see that very often here.
Yes.
So it's good to know they ask for the assistance of the Lord. Now, the greatest problem that you saw medically, what is there one that you can pick out, or a top 2 or 3?
Well, the greatest thing that pained me is that there is no such thing as preventative medicine. No such thing. A woman can go into the hospital to deliver a baby, sometimes 2 women laboring in one bed, sitting side by side.
Wow.
They deliver the baby, and when they feel better, they go home. And you don't say, oh, vaginal delivery, stay for 2 days, cesarean delivery, stay for 3, and oh, by the way, follow up in the office to see me in a week or in 2 weeks. There's no preventative medicine. Then they show up when there's a problem, and that's a problem.
Wow, that's amazing. What do you think was what took the spark and made it a fire for both of you once you got there? Was it the intensity of the need? Was it that you could now see it rather than looking at it through pictures? What impressed you the most? What moved you the most?
For me, it was standing side by side with the chaplains and them welcoming me in. In the mornings, they have devotions and prayer before they went out. Mm. Each one of them had a different assignment in the hospital, and where they went to different wards. And for me, what really stood out was a young man who has been there for 40 days.
Yeah.
And he was searching. And when I meant searching for a spiritual relationship with God. Yeah. So one morning, and he had asked us a couple of days before to come and see him, but God had his timing. 2 days later, we went to see him, and we were able to not only lead him to Christ, but provide a Bible for him at the same time.
Good. What about you, then?
I guess one of my greatest sparks actually did not happen in the hospital, but at the church that is affiliated with the hospital. We were able to worship there 3 Sundays in a row. And the first time we went, at 8:30 in the morning, there is an English service for the missionary, the volunteer medical staff, followed 10:30 by a Swahili service for the national people. The first Sunday we went, we attended the 8:30 a.m. service. It was okay. And we stayed for the
That's
Swahili
English
service. Yeah. And in between, they didn't know that we were deacon and deaconess.
Okay.
And they received us as their people that were visiting, brought us in a bag, fed us. We stayed for the Swahili service. They included Joshua in a kind of Christian discipleship graduation ceremony, gave him a tithe, and they said that Joshua would represent their church in America. We didn't know that this was going to happen. And it was extremely gratifying for us, extremely gratifying to be welcomed by our people.
What impact do you think it made on Josh?
Joshua, people have asked him, he's not feeling well today, that's why he's not here. But he did say his word was, it was humbling.
Okay.
For him, it was humbling. And he was able to be with Kelvin and the chaplains. He went on a children's ward, the men's ward, praying for patients. He was able to be with the architects and attend architectural meetings. They even took him to Nairobi for a day.
Okay.
And he worked in the maintenance department, and he went to houses where they were digging up yards for plumbing and doing maintenance work around the hospital. They were thrilled that Joshua was there and that he was willing to work in that way.
Wow.
And his second week there, there was a young boy who was 14 years old whose parents were serving as missionaries, and he came to join Joshua in that department for the second week. So
wow.
It was absolutely amazing experience.
We're reviving our missions, which is very aggressive. We have representation around the world, and I am so honored that you all took it upon yourselves to hear God, to go, to make a difference, and then come back. Because if we have anything to do with it, it won't be our last medical mission. Amen. Amen. Let's give them a hand. Thank you all. Thank you. Come on, y'all. We can do better than that.